Well, Asia definitely. So Asia first, no, the Asia definitely will
Yeah.
be affected. I think. So a lot of countries spoke out and expressed concern over the live fire exercises, which were unprecedented because um it was the I mean, it was a large scale largest exercises, if I'm not mistaken, and it took place in several areas surrounding Taiwan, a few of which were crossing into areas which China recognizes as
Yeah.
its territorial waters, no? So territorial waters is like 12 nautical miles from the coastline, and so you can just
Yeah.
imagine that. I mean, it's not far, no, it's near. It's quite near actually. So in
Yeah.
terms of how would it affect Asia? Taiwan is near this the location of Taiwan is also near the Philippines and Japan, right? And Japan was, I think, the most forceful to speak out, had the
Mm-hmm.
strongest statement because um five missiles that were launched in line with those exercises landed in waters that are part of its exclusive economic zone, and they found that to be um, a serious security concern. Um, and for the and, sorry, they found it to be a very serious
Yeah.
security concern. That's where Japan was coming from. In terms of the Philippines, um, yes, I mean, Philippines and Taiwan aren't we're neighbors, right? And
Yeah.
you can see Taiwan from parts of Batanes, and you can see
Yes.
again parts of the Philippines also from Taiwan. And so
Yeah.
um in terms of if there were to be any spillover, I mean, the likelihood that Philippines would be affected is could be quite high.
Yeah.
The Philippines is also a defense partner of the US, right? And so we have several defense agreements, one of which allows the US access to um, some military bases. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think the tensions are also I mean, the fact that that these tensions are happening, or it's happening at a time when the Philippines and US are also clarifying or further clarifying what they expect from each other if something like this were to happen or to blow up into a bigger um conflict. And so that's how the Philippines would be affected as well. And when it comes to other countries in the region, I think that um again, no, going back to some of the things we've seen because of COVID and because of the war in Ukraine, just because things happen in one part of the world doesn't mean that it's just
Yeah.
going to stay
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
It's really going to affect not just whichever countries are directly involved in the conflict, but even neighboring countries. So it could potentially affect um shipping. It potentially affect also air travel. And so those are some of the ways that Asia would be affected, no, and Philippines in particular.